All right. Hello. Welcome,
All right.
everyone. Take two. The go live button did not go live. So anyway,
It happens in
it
life.
happens. You're here live with Brian and Myrna King with alifedesign.org. And they're creating something really, really unique that I am excited to help them share and get out there in the world. They're a mother and son duo. And so, yeah, let's open it up again, Myrna and Brian.
Well, I'm
yeah.
in Austin, Texas, and Brian is in Da Nang, Vietnam.
Yep.
And he's a digital nomad exploring his fourth country in the last couple of years. And he loves Vietnam so much he may decide to stay there. I'd have to speak to that. But yeah, so we never thought we would be in business together, of course. But we have 30 years of exploring consciousness together, if you will. So I learned to meditate when I was 8. I taught him when he was 8. And so, we've kind of had this, crossover in terms of an interest in personal development, spiritual consciousness, that kind of thing. And we'd pass books back and forth. We'd go see speakers like Byron Katie and others. And, kind of do this growing in parallel, even though we led separate lives. And as a digital nomad, he's very comfortable digitally, with computers. And one day he said, we keep talking about this great awakening. Maybe we should do something about it. So I can help gather coaches and he can help build out the platform for members. And alifedesign.org was born. So Brian, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I think we need to start building positive communities, especially online, where people can kind of get together and support each other in growing, learning, improving their lives. And we basically put something like that together. We've got videos where people can learn. We've got a team of coaches you can work with if you feel like you need one-on-one, like actual mentorship or learning different things that different coaches have to teach. And we're hitting different areas of life. So the idea is you could explore different modalities to try to, learn and grow from and help yourself with. But it's not doctrinal, it's just you can learn from these different things. Yeah, and I think that's really important to have. Like you said, in the Great Awakening, I do think just humanity is going to have to unlearn and relearn. I mean, almost everything, like our entire perspective on reality and life and humanity and religion, spirituality. I mean, all these things. There isn't a formalized, institution to be able to help people through that. I think we're going to have communities, especially online communities, to help people sort through these radical perspective shifts, maybe as new things come to light. I think some of that has started to trickle out, but let's just say when the dam breaks, it's going to be...
People be scratching their heads and saying, how do I figure this out?
Yeah, if you haven't been into this stuff for years, it's going to be a deluge of new information to deal with. So, yeah, I think this is a way to kind of help people through that. There may be thousands of people looking for something like this once that really happens. And I think that will happen. So, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind it.
Yeah.
One of the things that Brian mentioned when we were trying to set what are we going to offer, in America, it's pretty common to have a healthy price for your coaching. I do for my executive coaching. And in Vietnam, that amount of annual income would not let anybody pay for executive coaching. So we talked about how do we make this affordable worldwide? How do we do that? Because consciousness is as valuable in India and Vietnam as it is in Paris and New York and Austin. And so, but the money is not the same. And so we created, actually for the month of November and December, we're giving away 100 memberships for free. And then we created a discount for the future to share with podcasters where we're involved. But, you know, the idea that you could spend, you know, $14 a month or $20 a month or some nominal price to us, that can still be a lot of money. It can be 2 hours worth of work in some parts of the world. So, you know, figuring out how, you know, humans can get access to this. And we have a general idea that all are welcome, you know, as long as you're engaging in positive discourse. You know, you'll agree with some things and there'll be a fit and some things won't be a fit, and you just take what works. But I don't know, Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, we have a shaman on our platform that comes out of London. We have an alchemical hypnosis person, coach, who was born in Mexico but lives in California. So, you know, we have a variety of people that bring their own specialties and expertise. And so I think one of the valid components is just exposure of you can do Sedona Method to, you know, identify limiting beliefs and release them, or you could do EFT for that, or there are other things you do. And so people can, you know, be exposed and try things by watching a video, by working with a coach one-on-one. So I don't know, Brian, if you want to pick that up from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the cool things we're doing with that is basically we're sort of creating a model for a unity consciousness. So there's always going to be people. Yeah. Well, there's always going to be people coming from different perspectives, right? Every individual is going to have their own perspective. I mean, that is what it means to be an individual. So, but we're kind of creating a community where we're showing how you can learn from everyone else. You can appreciate everyone else's perspective. And it can all be part of, you know, learning and growth. It doesn't have to be this like competitive thing. Like, I mean, humanity has had like religions competing against each other and different perspectives competing. That's really,
that's
I don't
older.
know, it's childish. Yeah, it's really childish. So what's more true, I would say, is everyone's in a process of learning and growth, and you never know what you can learn from that could be huge for you. Like someone could be like a yogi and they're like, I know I'm on the true path. And then you work with the shaman and it's like a eye-opening experience. You have this amazing experience. You're like, wow, I should have kept an open mind before. Like that's really the kind of thing that we're showing people. So yeah, we have a shaman. Mom, you just brought in a guy who does story healing work. Helps people kind of rework the story they tell about themselves to themselves, to others. And the whole thing that we're showing people is, you know, work with these different people. You never know. Sometimes something that you might not even think would work ends up being huge. Like it can have a huge impact. I mean, meditation can be like that too. Some days you sit there, you feel like, okay, nothing's happening. Some days you sit there and it's like,
yeah, it's like, what? So I think we have 4 different kinds of meditation videos. I think there are 400 different kinds of meditation. So, and we want to have a welcoming message for all. Try what works for you. And we know in coaching, I think, Tanya, you may have experienced this in your life and people you know, that it's more like stepping stones. You know, we decide we're going to navigate stress, and we learn mindfulness, or we learn meditation, or we do contemplation in the rosary, whatever we're doing. And then that kind of unlocks something in us, and we come across something else that unlocks something else in us. And the path is made for us, and we move forward in it. But we usually can't stand at that first stepping stone and say, I see every stepping stone out ahead of me. I knew exactly what I'll be doing 5 years from now. I think we commit to the path and then go where it leads. And so, we're hoping we can invite people to begin some of those journeys at A Life Designed. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. It's, as I was listening to both of you speaking, what came to mind for me is the younger generation. I have a son that's 21 and I have a 13-year-old, and they see so much of the BS already. Pardon my French. But it's like, my son's like, yeah, I'm in college because I don't know what else to do, but I just see that it's just not, it's not the future. It's not the future. He already knows that at a soul level. So it's like, I think the younger generation are coming in already realizing like this, that all these systems are outdated and don't have any buy-in anymore. So I feel like what you're creating is a model for, that cutting edge of creating a place of education of the developing human, how do we become better humans? How do we discover ourselves? I mean, that's not something that's taught to our children, and it's definitely, unless you've got an amazing mom like Myrna, teaches their kids. Most kids are in public school in the system, that system is very limited, and so, and there's so much that they're not getting, and so and not being met, and so I don't know if you want to say that, but
I think kids today have a foot in two worlds, and that can be so confusing. I should get a degree, and the days of working someplace until you get a go watch are long gone. But the idea, well, okay, should I do something like Brian does, be a digital nomad, be geographically independent, and then do work online? And some people want to work with their hands, or they want to teach in a classroom, or they want to go into a building and be extroverted and lead a team, and that's harder to do online. So we have that paradox of too many choices. I think, what do you want to do with your life? Well, here's the 1,000 most common choices. Which of these 1,000 choices sound good to you? And I think kids that are coming up today, some of them have a dystopian dislike for the future they see for themselves. I'll never buy a house. I'll never fall in love and get married. It's dangerous or expensive to have children. And the idea they see in movies, in videos, is not reflective of the life available to them right now. So it's a little bit hard to be in kind of an emerging time. And, there was the Renaissance and other periods of enlightenment where the world changed so fast, it seemed, around people. I was telling Brian, we did a video about the magic of water. I was reading Veda Austin's book. I don't know if you know of it, or Dr. Emoto did The Secret Life of Water. He passed away in 2014. So this is kind of a continuation of that work. And she's in New Zealand. And so we were talking about her amazing findings, and that water kind of can communicate back to us. And it's that shamanic view that there's a dynamic conversation going on in our lives that we can't hear or just not listening to. But then you catch yourself in something like water responding, the crystals changing because you wrote a word on the bottle. And you're like, okay, this is like Galileo trying to tell the church, no, we revolve around the sun. The sun doesn't revolve around us. It's those sort of paradigm fracturing, emerging times that we're in. And I think it's lucky for kids because they have some natural elasticity. They're learning everything all the time anyway. They're growing up and learning anyway. But I have to tell you, Brian was one of those kids where about half the time he was my master teacher. So it's frustrating. I would say, do you have a problem being right all the time? Because it gets to be a little boring for me. That you're right a lot. So, yeah.
So, can I talk about aliens and AI? Okay.
I didn't know this was going to come up.
So yeah, like there's a couple things that might happen in the next, I don't know, 5 years, that are gonna really, really shake things up. So one thing is if we get full disclosure on aliens and the things that governments actually already know about them throughout the world at the highest levels.
Yep.
A lot of things can happen out of that. One, we can realize we're not the most advanced species. We're not the highest form of intelligence in the
Are you
universe.
telling me the sun does not revolve around us? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. There can be realizations about how actually our technology is quite basic. And a whole flood of additional information, like they're going to have their own religions, alien races, their own spirituality, their own science. That can look completely different from what we have. As that stuff gets introduced, what does that mean for people who have strict traditional religious views? What does that mean? I mean, in my head, I kind of think like, so are we going to try to baptize the aliens, or like, it's you gotta accept Jesus.
A wafer, yes.
So
this is some wine.
it kind of throws a wrench in some things, and I'm not against Christians at all.
No.
Right.
I support whatever is positive for the individual. And it can be very positive for individuals. But I'm just saying, for some of these stricter viewpoints that a lot of people used to hold on to, or maybe still hold on to, I mean, it brings up some new questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, are we going to try to convert the aliens and baptize them? And they're going to be like, we don't need to do all that. We have our own stuff, So the other thing with AI is most of the jobs might be gone in 5 or 10 years. So then it brings up the question, what is the meaning of life when people don't work?
Yeah. Right.
So one answer to that question is, like, when there's nothing to do, you have to become something. Like you have to find meaning within yourself. I think we're actually going to be forced over time into having to find meaning within ourselves instead of only seeking, meaning or mostly seeking meaning from outside, like from our identity with our job, or being married, or having money, or having this car, or these accolades from work or something. A lot of that might end up going away. Now we'll see. It doesn't necessarily mean all the jobs are going to go away. A lot of times maybe the jobs will just transform. AI or robots will do the more repetitive parts of the work, and humans might still be needed to do more creative or social aspects. Sometimes it can change in that manner, but these things are all converging at once, and people are going to have to figure out how they reshape the meaning of their lives, as we go. So I think we're helping to create a platform where people can discuss these things, learn different ways to handle these things as they come up, and just create a community around, like, supporting each other through the things.
So I'm glad that you're bringing that up, because now I have a much clearer idea. Because when you initially presented that, okay, this is a coaching platform where you can kind of, as the title says, design your life, like, okay, well, I need help with this and I need help with that. It's not that there hasn't been other platforms like that. So I feel like what's unique about yours is that you are actually kind of addressing the elephant in the room that hasn't been spoken about before, which is exactly what you're saying. It's like, there is going to be things that are going to be radical. Like, life is going to look so different, so fast. It's like, the term, the quickening, is we're in it right now, right? We're experiencing time, just like what happened in October. Like,
no kidding. Somebody hit the fast forward button and it's stuck. It's just faster.
And so to have a space where it's like, okay, can we have a place to where we can process this, what's happening? Nobody really knows. And I think many people are still kind of in denial. I mean, I feel like there was at one point where it was very clear that, oh yeah, aliens exist. I mean, I think it made national news or something.
Right.
People were
The
just
reports that have done it, they call
Yeah.
it UAPs instead of UFOs, and they're slow releasing.
I love to bring that up too, Tanya. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was surprised that no one cared. You know, yeah.
But we're going to binge watch the new something on Netflix this weekend, and that's what you talk about. But, you know, some of that is a response to the paradigm shifting. You know, we want to put on fuzzy socks and curl up under a blanket because this we understand. You know, this feels comfortable. And I think some of the response to the global pandemic was like a test drive. What happens if everything changes for everybody all at the same time? When was the last time that happened? Like a world war or something? I mean, everything, everybody all at once. And then it's 2 weeks, 2 years later, we're still, you know, we were still dealing with the fallout. It's like, oh, so the experts, we can't really trust them, or they tell us they certainly know what's going on, but now we can tell they certainly didn't know what was going on. And so we have to make up our minds for ourselves. But how do we use a compass to tell us what way is up, which direction is north? I feel like we kind of had a test drive of this paradigm shifting global response to something. And so having our platform be global, having it be a place where it's okay what you think, it's okay what I think, they don't have to be the same thing, we're going to get along, you know. And you explore what makes sense to you. We have practical things like how to do a budget, how to get a job. I mean, we're still in a 3D world, or at least one foot is still in a 3D world where the cell phone company wants their money once a month. That's what they want, to keep having a phone. At the same time, on the horizon, not very far from now, big changes are looming. We can feel it. I think we can all feel it. So how could we be prepped ourselves and help others prep for how they're going to navigate what those changes look like? And some of them, I think, like the pandemic, we don't get a vote that it happened. We only get a vote in our response to it, trying to help each other. And for some people, their response is to break apart. You know, if you don't think the way I think, then we can't be friends anymore. And that's difficult when that vibration separation happens. But in our community, you can find people that vibe with you. Now, they may be in another country, in another time zone, but you can find like-minded people to say, I'm dealing with this right now. And I kind of don't get it. We say, watch this sleep alchemical hypnosis sleep video for 9 minutes, get a good night's sleep, and then let's talk tomorrow. You know, so to give people a way to cope with what's coming. For some, it's already here. You know, we're not all doing it exactly the same way at exactly the same time. And these kids, they have a head start on us, Tanya. Somehow they have a head start.
Yeah, and this awakening, what I'm seeing happening too is people waking up to just a different consciousness. You know, I just think of like a trilliumawakening.org. They're an organization where it's really about, you know, it's the enlightenment. Like, what is enlightenment? Well, it's, you know, what happens when we awaken and realize, like, oh, we're not just the mind. The thoughts are just thoughts, and we actually can live in a totally different state. Like, you know, and I think that's happening. This waking up that's happening within people is happening spontaneously, where it's like they're going beyond the mind and into being, into full presence, right? And so that's also like, well, when that starts to happen, even at a greater scale, how does that influence how we perceive each other? And Yeah.
Well, they have that saying from Buddha, before he was enlightened, he would gather wood and carry water. And after he was enlightened, he would gather wood and carry water. So some people that are having these paradigm shifting realizations still have to pay their cell phone bill. So how do we talk about that? It's like, I think I healed my friend like spontaneously.
Yeah.
And my boss is trying to fire me at work.
I got to find a new place to live. What do I do now? Yeah.
These things are happening. So some place to kind of work through that, and what's your priority? Let's handle that first, and then the second one second, and the third one third, and be okay with it's somehow fluid, and all of us are working on different parts of it, because that seems like the right part to be working on right now. So yeah, when I was talking with a client today, my son taught him Sedona Method. He was up for a job and nervous about the job and wanted to dial down his anxiety. And in a conversation around coaching today, he shared that he had an experience with the divine. And he was in a bit of trouble. And it was kind of an angelic way to get out of the trouble. He just was frightened and scared, and it was life-threatening. And then things impossibly shifted, and he was, boom, out of the trouble. And he's never been able to explain, except that there was divine intervention. He felt the warmth and the love. He saw golden light, and things changed in front of him. And he was able to depart a situation that had just come to him unknowingly. And he tried to explain it to a therapist, which didn't believe him, thought it was, hallucination. Were you on mushrooms? Or, it's like, no, I'm sitting in a car. No. So, but to be able to have a community that's like, we get that happened to you. We get that you might have questions about it. You might not have answers right now about it, but people have divine intervention in their lives, and this is a place where you could speak about that or talk about how to get a job. So
support. This is so true. Yeah, I think the awakening experience can be overwhelming, and who can you talk to? I mean, I remember when I shared my awakening experience with my naturopath. We first met. And I'm filling out the intake form, like, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. These are all the things. She's like, she reads it.
Did we freeze? I think we froze for a minute.
Yeah, I might have froze for a second.
I'm back. Okay.
You're back. Okay, good.
So what I was going to say is, my naturopath is reading what I wrote, and she says, you realize that most people that would read this would into like insane.
We need to recommend her for 3 days in this place.
Yeah.
So she was very gracious. I mean, she really was like, okay, because I was at that point, I wasn't crazy. I was just explaining to her, here's my history. This is what happened. Like, that sounds.
It legit happened.
Yeah. It's just like, whoa, okay, and so definitely. I think there's a lot of people that definitely use the support, because for me, I know through my experience, I had none. And so those of us that maybe awakened earlier, didn't have, the internet wasn't even really
right. You were ahead of this cycle. You were, out in front of.
Cell phones are like those big car things that you like carry, I don't know, like a briefcase, So anyway, so I'm curious before we hop off, how can, so is your platform right now open to more practitioners coming in to your gifts?
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It depends on kind of the area that they work in. And so the best way to kind of get to know our crew is to guest it in speed coaching. So where we get to have some of the public come in, you get 10-minute coaching sessions, one after another. You kind of meet the other coaches too. And you sort of get a feel for, you know, how the community is and how coaching is. And then lots of people get little bite-sized portions of coaching from multiple coaches. So it's just kind of like a coaching celebration, and it's free. So that's one way to kind of feel like I'm getting to know these people. But absolutely, we some of the people Brian knew that we brought on board, some people I knew that I brought on board. And so, yeah, where it's a fit, that they welcome all people. And that kind of coaching, in a discovery call, we always figure out that we're a fit, we're vibing together,
You have to kind
we're
of
not, and that's okay too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, so we are open to growing that, and it doesn't cost anything to be a coach on our platform. If we refer you to a client, or a client finds your information and contacts you, you just pay each other as you coach and client. We're not in the middle of any of that. And we can refer clients to you. We have a team coaching program where sometimes someone needs multiple kinds of things done. We can put a package together with 2 sessions with this one, and then that's handled, and 1 session over here and that's handled, you know, like getting your tires rotated and somebody else puts in a new battery and somebody else balances something, you know, and it's like, okay, you can drive home now. You're good to go. So
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't take a portion of any fee. We want clients to get coached. We want more people to be coached. We want to make it as affordable and as global as possible. So, you know, we're just processing this big idea and bringing it to life. And it has a life of its own, a little bit. So, yeah. Well, so we'll share with you a link about how people could get a free membership. But even when that expires after the 100, the first 30 days is always free. And you get a reminder from Stripe, you know, like 3 days before, hey, if you didn't want to continue, cancel now. You know, so,
right.
You know, but you want to see those reminders. But yeah, so access to the platform is always free with a 30-day trial. But we have some forever free programs to give away in gratitude here in November and December, and launching ourselves into the Great Awakening.
I love that you're making it so accessible, because what I find online is just, yeah, that disparity. You know, someone in India can't afford a, you know, $10,000 program. You know, that some coaches are, no judgment on what people charge, but it's just like we're, you know, it's really, I think, from what I understand, as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, it's like that hierarchical structure is collapsing, and it's like the playing field is getting leveled out, and so and so coming together as a circle, you know, is going to be the way forward.
Brian, do you have any final thoughts? I think I did most of the talking. He accuses me sometimes. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely think, we're definitely here to help people through the Great Awakening. But like you said, Mom, we also just help people with practical stuff. We have a career coach who's really good, someone you've known for a long time. She can help people just totally tune up their resume, and she's helped tons of people get better jobs. So with just any way, you know, we can help people in their lives, I mean, we're doing it. We're kind of trying to hit on all major aspects of life, including stuff like career, normal, you know, practical stuff, but also like
tips, different things,
spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
Personally, because I think it's all connected. So, you know, as you get deeper into your spiritual practices, your life will start to kind of manifest better.
The blossoming happens, like it or not.
Yeah. And I mean, I teach people manifestation. I think that's a master skill people should learn. I can help people get started with that. And so I mean, really anything that can help people better their lives, we're open to, and we basically bring into the platform. We do the roundtable discussions on YouTube, which I think are really cool. It's an extremely small YouTube channel, but I think we do really cool. Yeah, I think we do really cool discussions. Like we'll just take one topic and we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, different people from different perspectives sharing their different perspectives on one topic. So we could bring up something like we'll talk about happiness, and you could hear a shaman's perspective on happiness. And then, we have a coach who does a lot of psychological techniques with people, more of a psychological perspective on happiness. And then, we have like a hypnotist, perspective on happiness. And it's like a lot of times I bring in some philosophical type content, that type of perspective on happiness. So you get to hear all these different perspectives, and it's such a opportunity to learn and grow, So we're just bringing things like that to the platform. So
I'm going to tell on you, Brian. We did our last roundtable on friendship, and I usually do some research. Here's some links about how adults make friends and the difference that men have in making friends or women have in making friends. And then I said, Brian, so do you have some thoughts about it? And he said, well, let's start with Aristotle, who said there's 3 basic kinds of friends. And I said, leave it to you to start with Aristotle's understanding of friendship. So yeah, different perspectives on it.
It's amazing. I mean, I love that you're bringing in just different perspectives. I think, there's just been so much dumbing down in our culture, and so, to just get ourselves to just kind of pull the cobwebs over on our eyes, to just kind of like, okay, wait, what? Like, get some fresh, new thoughts, new thinking, is so important, to keep just to keep our brain open and flexible, and not hardwired and just getting smaller and tighter, but to keep it fresh and open. And that's where we can find new ideas and become I can't think of the word right now, but
kind of able to engage, to give yourself permission to have the flexibility to reconsider things. And I just want to, congratulate you on your courage with your channel. And so it's one thing to disclose to a health professional. So I've had this awakening experience, and now to be on YouTube about it. So
what do I have to lose? I'm going to
Good for you. Oh, Mom, are you talking about that stuff on YouTube again?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive, definitely. And so thank you so much. This has been really very fascinating, just a fascinating conversation.
Thanks for the opportunity. And here's to the Great Awakening.
Yes. Amen. Hallelujah. So anybody that's watching this, please go to alifedesign.org. As Myrna has said, it's free for the first 30 days. Right now, they have a extended free offer you can sign up for. It's definitely worth checking out. Nothing to lose there. And if you have questions, just type your questions in the chat. I'm sure Brian or Myrna will get back to you. If you're someone that's interested in being a coach, reach out to them. It's very exciting. So thank you both.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing. It was great to chat with you today.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
That was fun. Thank you.
Bye.